and welcome back to the Immigration Ain't Easy podcast. I am honored today to be joined by Rodrigo López, who is a former professional Major League Baseball player, pitcher, who originated from Mexico. And he's also a broadcaster, works with the Arizona Diamondbacks as a color commentator. And he's also been a coach for the Mexican national team, if I'm not mistaken, in the World Baseball Classic. Is that correct?
Well, no, no coach, not a coach, but there's a general manager. Like I'm not on the
Manager.
field. I was just more
Okay.
behind the scenes on the front office.
And so your life has been all about baseball, it seems. Is that right?
Well,
Pretty much.
pretty much. Being from Mexico City, down in Mexico City, Central Mexico, Southern Mexico, soccer obviously is our first sport, and actually my dad played a little bit of professional soccer, so that was probably my main sport to follow, and then baseball. So, but yeah, I left soccer behind me probably when I was 8, and ever since I started playing baseball.
Who got you into baseball? Was it your father, or was there other influences that got you into it?
Well, pretty much our friends in the neighborhood, in our block. My brother, who's older, but definitely we were influenced by Fernando Valenzuela. I was born in 1975. Fernando made it to the big leagues back in 1980, and he was, as many people know, or at least many people of my generation knows, Fernando. That was a big deal for us. The Fernandomania hit Mexico and whole Central and South America, and we all want to play baseball. That was the pretty much the new sport for us. The television introduced us, and then we started playing baseball, and we fell in love with sports. Even that my dad doesn't know much about it, and Mexico was big on soccer, but I think thanks to Fernando to give us that other option in sports.
When you talk about Fernando, and he was a pitcher, did many Mexican youngsters emulate him and want to be pitchers, or was it just everyone just fell in love with baseball in general and everyone found what their position was?
Well, definitely Fernando had pretty particular talent, the way he pitched. But being a lefty, majority of the people are righties. I think he introduced us to the sport of baseball and introduced the probably the most popular team in Mexico that are the Los Angeles Dodgers. So we all fall in love with the whole concept of watch Fernando in the mound with all those big crowds in the stadium. We're just watching him. So we all want to play baseball. Hard to emulate Fernando, but we learned the sport. We got the passion of hit a baseball, catch a baseball, and everything. So, by the time when I was started playing uh, my baseball, so everybody wants to wear the number 34. So, but just in honor to Fernando. So, but yeah, Fernando was all over, in Mexico.
It was his influence. I know that, like in Major League Baseball, we always have Jackie Robinson Day and everyone wears that number. Is that the same level of influence? Like, are there like days where everyone wears that number in Mexico?
I don't know by now. The new generation probably they still know about Fernando, and I'm talking about the generation of baseball players. But probably a decade ago, probably you go down in Mexico City and you ask the random people, what do you know about baseball? They always come up with Fernando Valenzuela. Oh yeah, Fernando. So Fernando for us, it was, I say probably like Babe Ruth, you know, one of the most famous and popular baseball player in Mexico, and even people will think that Fernando was the first Mexican player in the big leagues, which is of course is not true. But he is the most popular, and as far as his role as a starting pitcher, is the guy who got more wins in the big leagues. For a player born in Mexico.
What I recall there was a player named Beto Avila who played in I think the 1950s in major leagues. Was his name pretty well known and prominent in Mexico as well?
I bet during his time in the big leagues, definitely he was well known, and of course within the baseball community, he was very famous. I mean, there's the only uh, regular player or position player, what I meant, that has won the batting title, which is pretty difficult. Definitely he was one of the greatest players for us, but his name probably didn't sound for, at least for my generation, as much as a Fernando. I mean, again, he is one of the most complete players that been in the majors. But Fernando was something else. It was like, that's why I call him the Fernandomania. Like, and this was just worldwide. There was like now Sohei Otani, like back in the days, probably Ichiro Suzuki or Pedro Martinez. So one of those characters that once in every 20 years they broke into the big leagues and they become a sensation.
When you were a young, athlete learning baseball, when did you come to realize that being a pitcher was your position and your skills for doing that?
Oh, when I turned like 14, 15 years old, in Mexico, the little leagues going all the way from, I don't know, for 4 years to when I play, it was like 15 years. That was the last, we call it ligas infantiles. That was the last age. 14, 16, 15 and 16, that was the last category that you can play as a little leaguer. So I started playing when I was 8, so I played all the 9 positions. I have fun everywhere, but definitely shortstop was one of the more uh, attractive positions for everyone, I think, because you are always in the middle of the action, and then pitcher. So when I make that step from playing little leagues to play amateur baseball in Mexico, you make that jump. You started playing and facing guys that probably are not professional. They're already 20, 21 years old, and you uh, you you jump from little leagues to pretty much to play to every age. So for me, the only way to play in those teams, I was pitching because every guy has position, and I'm starting to pitch, and that was the only position that I can play. Once in a while, I play third base. Once in a while, I play left field. But if I want to play every weekend, that's the calendar. That's the way we play. I need to pitch. So I kind of specialize to pitch every weekend. And if I want to pitch, of course, I need to be efficient. So uh, I start to more focus on standing the mound and get my arm in shape. And that's when I guess maturity, you know, get to me, and I start to get stronger and feel like my arm was good enough to pitch against those guys.
When you were playing amateur at Aguila de Veracruz, was
No,
that
that
where it
was
was?
that. No, that was professional baseball. Yeah, yeah.
That was a
Uh,
professional league. And at that time, how many pitches did you have that were like your main pitches at that time?
when I signed with the Águila de Veracruz, I had pretty much fastball. I didn't know how to throw breaking ball. Then I started learning from there. We have a great pitching coach, Ray Loya, that's his name. He taught me how to throw breaking ball, but mainly the changeup. That was his pitch. He was like he likes to uh, their staff to know how to throw that pitch, and uh, and from when I started playing baseball when I was like I believe 17 years old, 18 years old, uh, I had nothing but fastball, pretty much.
And so when you only have a fastball, is it just mainly mixing up the speeds of those fastballs? Just or are you just throwing the fastball at the however how hard you can throw it? Like for somebody who's not a baseball player, never played baseball, like what's the dynamics of that? How does that work?
Well, when you're that young and somebody tells you that you throw hard, you're trying to impress. You're trying to throw harder and harder, and you see those results when all the batters are behind, and that give you that sensation of you have the the power, that you have that speed. So I was just trying to throw the ball on top of the strike zone somewhere around, and if I see that guy probably swing and miss one pitch, I was trying to throw harder. Honestly, I didn't remember trying to fool him with the breaking ball or trying to locate a fastball. I was like, for me, the catcher was like all this, and you throw it and trying to throw the fastball by all those pitchers. That was the only thing. Like when I was, of course, when I was that young, like 15, 16, talking during amateur years, and even when I signed for professional baseball, when I mean probably, I don't know more about your perspective, but to me, I consider professional baseball one start you get paid to play. Amateur it was like something recreational where you go to school during the week and you play during the weekends with a group of friends, and then you sign a contract. And even it's not a big league, even it's not a Mexican league, we play. We call it in Mexico the minor leagues. We call them sucursales. You know, so it's when I start to call them professional baseball. When I get my paycheck every 2 weeks, and I was dedicated seven days a week to baseball. So uh, well, with that being said, once I become a professional baseball, yeah, my first year I was trying to compete with my teammates to see who throw harder during the game, and even that you get the coaches and everything telling you that command your fastball and trying to learn a new pitch. You really are more about fastball and try to break 90 back then, no?
Um, you were what, 19 when you got signed by the San Diego Padres for a
Yeah,
minor league? And
19, yeah.
at that time, had you ever been to the United States? Like when you were a young kid, did you ever travel and go to Disneyland or anything?
No, no, never ever. One of my dad's dream probably was like bring my brother and I to Disneyland at one point, but it was hard. Before to sign with the San Diego Padres, I was trying to get a visa, and I failed like two times. Just present my documents as a student, and my dad's been uh, mid lower mid class. My dad was a mechanic and my mom was a teacher. I guess I never was approved to have a visa until the Padres signed me back then. And the first time I came here was pretty much with a 6 months visa to come here, something like that.
So baseball was really your meal ticket to getting into the United States ultimately because of your your status or your family's economic status. What type of work did your father do?
My work was medical maintenance maintenance guy. He works for a department of the government. He works in a place to call TF. In that building, they print all the legal documentations for the government, meaning the stamps, passports, all the legal documents that were printed there. So my dad was in charge of the maintenance of that building where all those machines to print all the stuff. My dad was in charge of those all those machines.
Did you have other athletes or a history of athletes in your family's lineage or in your family at all? Or were you the first one to, move into professional sports?
No, I'm very much so far. I'm still the only one. My dad,
Yeah.
my dad told me that he and his brother. My dad is the oldest of seven brothers, and he told me he was big in soccer. So he didn't reach to play uh, the main league in Mexico, but he was like in the sucursales, like in the minor leagues, from a team called Atlante and a football soccer. So he was the closest in my family to reach a professional sport, but because the beliefs back then, I think my grandfather would say, you know what, we need you to work because we got another six kids, so forget about going anywhere else.
The sport, yeah. And then, so you are signed with the San Diego Padres, and you had to play several years in the minor leagues. It looked like, is that true?
Yeah, yeah. Signed with the Padres. I'd say 94, 94. Well, actually, the first time I came here was in 94, but that was the year of the strike.
Strike. Yep.
So I came here in 94 to showcase. So the Padres were offering me a contract, but to play in the second half of the season. And then the strike came. So I wasn't able to play 94 here in the States. So now in 1995, that was my first year. My first year that played in a league here, which was the Arizona Rookie League.
Okay. And what year did you finally break through to the majors?
2000, 2000 with the San Diego Padres, be in AAA in Las Vegas, and 2000 on April 29th. That was the year that I got the call up.
And what was the like feeling emotionally to walk out into a major, like what were you in the on the Padres field when you first pitched in a major league game, a game against another major league team?
That's correct. Yeah, the
What
29th.
did that feel like to you? Like, was it just like an amazing emotion to walk out there and
Oh
pitch?
yeah, I was pretty nervous. Yeah, I just remember. I mean, you get there 2 days before. At least that was my case. I get there 2 days before. So the first day that I walk into the clubhouse, that was like, it was like a dream come true. Uh, Come out to stretch with your new teammates and be in a major league stadium. That was, something that really impressed me, and I was impacted about it. So when the time comes for me to pitch and in the game to make my debut, yeah, since the night before it's hard to go to sleep, and once the time comes, yeah, you walk into the field, and even when you start to warm up, you start to feel all the adrenaline and all the nervous and everything at the same time. So I remember probably the first few pitches, I wasn't able to command those pitches until the third one that I was like, all right, I'm here, nowhere else to go. So you better ready to compete. I remember threw a really bad pitch, and I believe that was Andrew Jones to swing at it. And I was like, oh, they're not perfect. They swing pitches out of the strike zone. So I just want to start to relax and start to feel more comfortable.
Did you come up as a starter or were you a reliever when you came up originally?
No, I come up with this, as a starter with the Padres. Pretty much my minor league career was a starter. So yeah, they brought me up, and all my games with the Padres, they were out of the rotation. So there were only six, but yeah, that was all of them were from the starting rotation.
And I think you had a really good manager, right? Was it Bruce Bochy at the time?
Yeah, Bruce Bochy was the manager. That was in 2000. So they won the National League pennant back in 1998. And well, Bochy, is still managing the Rangers, the Texas Rangers. So he definitely one of the best managers that are active right now and of all time.
Was Tony Gwynn still playing at that time?
Yeah, Tony was there. Tony was playing when I was there. I remember he got his locker. We got like three lockers in one of the corners of the clubhouse, and yeah, pretty nice, quiet guy to live with me. Or I was just there for a few weeks. Probably never got the chance to, create that relationship between
Get to
teammates.
know him. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, like he was there.
So when you went out for your first game, like were you able to have any family there for that event, or how did that work? Were they able to get visas and
Yeah, by the time my parents already got a visa, so again, I was here in 1995. 1995, that was my first season. Now with my working visa, so uh, probably at the same time, or probably sometime around there, both of my parents start to uh, process their retirement. So once they retire, and me being here with a working visa, I think that was easy for them to get a visa. So they get their tourist visa. So being AAA, I think that was easier because the flights are cheaper. There's a bigger city where there's a big airport. So my parents came to visit me in April to Las Vegas, where I was. And I already was married. I got married back in 1998 when I was 22 years old. So I was with my wife, and my parents came and visited me. So when they gave me the news that I was going to pitch in the big leagues, my parents were there. So my parents drove from Vegas to San Diego, and they were able to watch my big league debut in San Diego. And actually, a good friend of mine that become my compadre later in my career, he also, knowing that I was going to start that game, he flew from Mexico City to San Diego to watch me pitch. So my wife, Romy, and my parents and my compadre were there when I was making my debut.
when you came to the United States, were you fluent or able to speak English pretty well, or was it something you had to learn when you were here?
No, that was something I had to learn. I mean, I know the very basics in junior high. And actually, my parents pay some uh,
Like a
lessons in
tutor or something?
lab.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There was just classes, with another institute. Uh, but honestly, I always thought like there were the same classes every year. Even that they
Yeah.
call it English one, English two. I remember in English two, the first 2 weeks they were the same thing that English one, like the basics, like what's your, how are you, what's your name, and all the same things. So honestly, I don't feel like I learned much. Probably no more English because of the songs that I heard back then. And but if you if I need to tell you a percentage when I came here, probably like 0.5% that I speak English, and most of the English I learned is like through baseball.
Did you so I guess as far as the time in San Diego, it wasn't a very long time in the majors with them. And then you landed with the Baltimore Orioles, if I'm not mistaken. And and then you had, I mean, it seems like it would have been like your career year as a full-fledged rookie, where you went 15-9 and you were the runner-up for the AL Rookie of the Year that year. Um, what changed? What triggered in you that just suddenly, brought you out into this like almost like a higher level of pitching acumen? Was it that you developed other pitches at that time?
No, I think just the mindset, you know. Uh, all this time of this process in the minor leagues, you always feel like you are in a process to develop, to be a pitcher, but or be a major league player, but you never realize when you got to make the jump, when you have to change the switch. So you always feel like you have a second opportunity, and probably as more of my uh, paisanos, my countrymen, so probably we always see that we have as a backup the Mexican League, you know. So you always think like this is not the end. At least that was my experience. So when I make my debut in 2000, I pitched 3 games in the big leagues. They sent me down to AAA, called back up for another 3 games, and they removed me from the 40-man roster, which make it harder to make you go back to the big leagues. So after 2000, and I went back to 2001 to camp, and I got hurt, and I was there for probably like 3 months, and they helped me out to single A to do like a rehab assignment. And all that time, all those 3 months where I was here in Peoria, I was thinking of what was going to be my future. And I was like, I was asking myself, did I really want to be in a Mexican league all this time? I'm already here, but I can play. So I started missing playing. And when I went go back to pitch and a rehab assignment in single A, I remember my time as a assignment as a rehab, it was done. So there was a point where they had to put me either in a roster, an active roster. So the logical thing was like me going to AAA. So they leave me in single A after the year before I pitched in the big leagues. So I was like, it really hurts my feeling. It was like, wait a minute, like what am I doing here in the bullpen in single A when I pitched in the big leagues last year? So I started realizing like, okay, there's no more room for me. So my time has passed. So it's either or I prove that I can pitch in the big leagues, or they're gonna get rid of me, right? So I went back to AAA. I feel I was not treated the way I expected. I was not prospect anymore, and I finished the season, and probably 2 weeks before the season ends, they give me my letter of release. So I was a free agent, and I was like, oh my God, like what now? You know? So I went to the Winter League in Mexico. I show up the very first day of training over there. So the season started in October 12th. So I was there in September 5th, probably, just trying to get ready to prove the other teams and the scouts that I was able to pitch. So I had one of my best seasons in Winter League. I won 10 games during the regular season. I won all 5 games of playoff. But I came to the Winter League with that mindset. You know, there's no more prospect. There's no more second opportunities. There's no more, you know, chance to make a mistake or to trying to improve. It's either or you give results or it's done. There's nowhere else to go. Like you already tried the big leagues and you were not good enough. So you gotta do something about it. So it's when I changed my mindset and I was like, okay, this is it. You gotta pitch to win every game. Don't worry. No, you don't have to think like you got a second opportunity. And that's the way I think it changed. And I was more aggressive. I was more secure about myself. And I think that was make the difference. My pitchers and my velocity probably were the same back in 2000 when I broke into the big leagues and established myself back in then 2002.
What I know, in you had what 11 years or maybe 12 years major league career, and you probably had a lot of different moments that you remember. But what moments were like the most standout moments for you in your career? Like what will stick out to you, whether it be the first time you went out on that field in front of your family, or anything like that? Like what stuck out to you the most?
Well, in the big leagues, definitely my debut against the Atlanta Braves. That was a big moment. Well, my second time when to went back up, my third time because my second time was with the Padres too. But in 2002, when I went to camp with the Orioles, and I was, you know, I was told I was going to make the team. That was like a big moment for me. And, that was my first team uh, after being with the Padres my whole minor league career. Probably my first 7, 8 years in the state that was with the Padres. So it was for me the new organization. But signing with the Orioles, one of the big probably motivations or attractions for me that was facing the Yankees. I was like, you know, I don't know if I ever gonna face these guys. Back then, interleagues weren't that, that big. We got interleague since 1998, but we were in the National League West. The Yankees were in the, so for me, be with the Orioles and have pitched in the opening night as a reliever against the Yankees. That was like make my debut because I faced Derek Jeter, I faced all those guys, and for me it was like the big leagues and then the Yankees. So I was in the big leagues pitching against the Yankees, and that was a big moment. And then I feel like I was part of the big leagues. I believe that I was part of the big leagues, and things changed. And there was another moments like that year in 2002, the month of July. That was a perfect uh, month for me. And then probably one of my highlights or games that I remember the most is the complete game that I threw against the New York Yankees and got my career high in the strikeouts. I punch out 10 guys probably in New York. Probably was one of the most memorable games that I have in mind.
When you have a game like that, how do you celebrate after? What did you do after that game?
You won't believe me, but I didn't do anything. It was a day game.
Yeah.
I think it was kind of rainy that day, so I was so excited. I was so emotional about it that I went back to the hotel and I was like
Soaked it
pretty
all in,
quiet.
huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I decided to walk by Times Square and yeah, I'm starting to think of like how how this life is, like at one moment, like a few hours ago, I was in the biggest stage against the Yankees, getting a win. Now I'm here in Times Square. Nobody know who I am. Nobody know what's inside of me. Like I want to, celebrate, but at the same time, we got a game tomorrow. Uh, and now we're just thinking like, here I am in New York, the Big Apple, and nobody know who I am. Nobody know what I just did, or probably somebody know that the Yankees lost, but they don't know against who. So I didn't do anything. I mean, that was one of my big moments. But it was probably I just leave that day as another day in the big leagues.
hmm Now, Fernando Valenzuela, who you said was like basically the hero for that entire generation of Mexicans and Central Americans, he went on to become a well-known broadcaster with the Dodgers. And after you finished your career in the majors, you joined the Arizona Diamondbacks as a color commentator. Was his involvement in broadcasting something that influenced you as well in that realm?
Oh no, 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 no. That was totally different. Knew Fernando. Well, from since he was with the Padres right after the strike, I met Fernando. But being the broadcast was just uh, something that probably didn't expect. Uh, Actually, since I played in 2010 with the Arizona Diamondbacks, I made my hometown here in the Phoenix area back in 2006. So around in 2013, 2012, no, that was 2013. Some of my uh, ex-teammate, he invites me to play golf with him. So one of my now partners, Richard Science, while we're playing, he was like, "Hey, there's gonna be an open for radio for color commentator. Will you be interested?" And like, "Yeah, where I sign up?" And like, "No, no, wait, you're still playing." I was playing in Mexico at that time in Mexico City, And I told him, well, you guys give me the job, I quit. Like I'm done with baseball. So
Time
are
to
you
move on.
serious? Yeah. And and I just came to my mind pretty fast, like, okay, I have not much to play in my career. I live in Arizona and they present me this opportunity. Probably won't be another opportunity to have a job in the same city. So I say, you know what? I sign. Just let me know where I show up, and I sign. So yeah, it was a process. Then I went to Chase Field. I call a game with my partner Oscar Soria, and then they offered me the job. But yeah, that was like that without thinking about Fernando being in the radio or probably in other friends. It was just that within the time I saw as a transition for me to be inactive and be out of my home for every week to stay just home. So once I retired, I knew that I was going to spend a lot of time at home, and I know it was going to be healthy for me, for my wife. So I said, you know what, this is going to be a perfect transition for my family. My kids are starting going to school, and I will spend more time with them, but at the same time, I'll be involved in baseball. And, little by little, I'm going to be adjusting to be steady in one place.
So you got to meet Fernando, and did you eventually cultivate a relationship with him?
Yeah, yeah. In 1994, 95, when after the
The
strike,
strike, yeah.
I was here as a rookie in the rookie ball. The other teams already break. So Fernando, actually Ted Higuera, another guy, Andres Berumen, there were three Mexican players that were signed by the Padres. So for me, it was like, oh, Fernando's here. So I was trying to sneak up and watch his bullpens. And one of the pitching coach called me and say, Rio, come here. Like, hey, what's up? Let me introduce you to Fernando. So I was introduced by Fernando, and yeah, I asked him for probably to sign me a ball and everything. And one story that I had, it was like in the hotel after practice, and somebody called into the room. Back then we have no cell phones. So then somebody called to my room. My roommate wasn't there, so I picked the phone, and he was like, "Hey, Rodrigo, I'm here at the lobby. Like, you want to go eat?" And everything in Spanish, right? And like, "Who's this?" He told me, "Fernando," but I didn't know who Fernando. Like, yeah,
Yeah, which
Fernando
one?
who? Yeah, like Fernando who? Like, oh, Fernando Valenzuela. Like, oh my God. Like, honestly, Mo, I already ate about half an hour
But you
before.
had to go
But
eat again.
yeah. Like, no, of course I go. So he was already in the lobby, picked me up. We went out to eat with him, Ted Higuera, and Berumen. And then after that, he took me back to his suite at the hotel. I don't remember what hotel he was staying in, but he let me call my parents out of his phone in his room. Down in Mexico, back then it was not easy to call international. So he let me call my parents, and we start, we spend those moments, but probably when we start to close our relation is when we both play in a winter ball. He played for Hermosillo and I played for Mexico for Culiacan. So every time that we play against each other, he also is kind enough to say hi and ask for me. And actually, we pitch against each other. At least I remember two times that we played pitch against each other in the Winter League.
It's interesting. At the time that Fernando Mania was all happening, there was another Mexican Major League Baseball player that I was actually following more. Um, and I think a lot of people would know who he is if they were really into baseball, and you would probably know him. Aurelio Rodriguez.
Rodrigo Rodriguez.
He was the third baseman for the Tigers. And I grew up with parents who were Tigers fans. So I ended up like watching a lot more or going to Tigers games growing up in Detroit when I'd go out there to visit. And frankly, actually, I think I paid more attention to him than Fernando. When everyone else in the, in the baseball universe was watching Fernando, I was watching Aurelio.
No,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
And
Um,
Aurelio faced Fernando in the World Series in 1991.
80, 91. Yeah.
Yeah, when Fernando pitched that World Series, I don't know if it was 1980 or 1991, but Aurelio played third base for the New York Yankees at the time.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah. I just remember him on the Tigers, and
yeah,
then
it,
yeah,
it was
because
it
I
was
think
big over
most
there.
of his best years were there. Would you say that in like at least the most recent, last say 2 decades, would Adrian Gonzalez be the best Mexican player or at least position player?
And the last few years,
25 years or so.
20, 25 years, put us back in 2000.
Yeah.
I'd say probably the best, yeah, probably one of the most consistent batters. For me, the best uh, hitter born in Mexico, it's Vinny Castilla,
Vinny
So,
Castillo.
and we
Yeah.
got to go back 30 years now, just before
And,
Adrian. So, but
and his stats in Colorado were mind boggling.
oh yeah, no, yeah, that was. But also when he played for the Braves, he got great numbers. The only team that probably I feel like he didn't accomplish his other stats when he played for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays back then. But yeah, there's like this thing about guys that were born in Mexico and they guys that weren't born in Mexico. But but yeah, we're all Mexicans. But at the same
So
time,
you,
I feel like Beanie probably is I feel like his popularity went probably just a little bit behind Fernando.
yeah. Uh, you're really proud to be Mexican. I can tell. You're wearing your hoodie. It says Mexico. You were the general manager of it was the Mexican team for the World Baseball Classic. That was 2023 or what
Correct.
year
Yeah.
was it? Okay.
2023. Yeah.
Um, so just from an immigration perspective, do you have dual citizenship now with the United States and Mexico?
That's correct, Mo. I got dual
Okay.
citizenship.
And what has like a lot of times it gets to be a little bit cliche, but what has the United States given to you, in conjunction with Mexico, like being a dual citizen, what does that give you? Like, what sense of pride do you have being both a Mexican born citizen and also a naturalized U.S. citizen?
Oh, it's a mix of different things, my principal morals were, of course, being settled by my parents and my community down in Mexico City. And then baseball being such a big sport here in the States, of course, they give me a lot of tools to have the life that I have now, the opportunities that probably won't have in Mexico. And this is a country where it give me a lot of peace of mind. Uh, you know, Give me this chance to work in a big industry like it's baseball. But at the same time, I feel pride about both. Being a Mexican, but also live here in the state, trying to be part of the community, trying to be a good citizenship, and try to adjust. I guess myself, I feel like I'm a people who can adjust to the environment and start to wait that the environment adjust to me. So, but yeah, I feel proud, of course, to be a Mexican, to was born in Mexico. But I just feel proud too, very much that the result that I am right now, because I'm probably at this time I'm a mix of what I live in Mexico and more of my time I live in the States. So I got a little bit of both cultures, and I hope I'm doing a good job. as far as be an example for my kids, be an example for my family, and be probably at one point the face of the organizations that I work with. It's just, I think, being more a good citizenship, regardless what geographically part of the world you was born.
When you were the general manager for Mexico, um, how did that opportunity come about? Like, how did you end up getting that role?
It caught me by surprise. I didn't know. I never thought that I had that opportunity. I always been in touch with baseball with in Mexico, what happened, and because I guess my career, they still had a lot of people, and they're now in the front office, or they run the baseball for different perspectives. And I always been invited to do some kind of clinics or give my opinion to some kind of projects and stuff like that. So I ended up, knowing a lot of people that probably put me in this situation. So one day they called me and they asked me if I want to be part of the Team Mexico as a general manager. And like, wait, honestly, my mind when it blow up, I was like, in myself, I was like, oh yeah, I won. But I was shocked. So I was asking this guy, like, just give me time. Like, I won't give you an answer right now. Just give me time to think about it. But in my inside of me, I was just want to
You
say
were all
yes.
ready to take the
Yeah, I was
job.
like, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but now when and now I started thinking like, okay, these are probably things I had to deal with. I never been in this situation, and but yeah, so it came. They asked me if I want to do it, uh, and they were, for what I understand, they were putting on the table different kind of options, different profiles, and at the end they picked me, and I was just trying to do my best job, trying to surround myself with good group of professional people that I know, and they're pretty efficient, and I think at the end that works pretty good.
Are there right now any like names that would come to mind as Mexican ball players who are up and coming that people should take note of, that are either already in the majors or working their way there, that could be that next Fernando or Rodrigo or or Vinny? Is there anyone that comes to mind right now that sticks out to you?
It's very hard to say, but right now, I think the guy that I'm following a lot is Marcelo Myers with the Boston Red Sox. He's his number three prospect for them. He's putting such a great numbers now in this 2025 spring training: 10 RBIs, one home run, one triple. The guy is something else. I think he's the future of the Red Sox, and he's a shortstop. I don't know if within the time he become a third baseman. He's a stud. He's a stud, and as a guy to follow a lot since I become the general manager and the other version of 2023 World Baseball Classic. Probably wasn't ready back then in 2023, but hopefully he will be ready for next year to be part of Team Mexico. But there's also guys like Tirso Ornelas that is with the San Diego Padres, and this guy. Alex Osuna with the Texas Rangers. He also had a great spring training. I just saw that he got sent down to Double A. But those are three guys that come to my mind, and right now. But definitely, there's some other guys in the mix. Those guys that I mentioned. Well, Marcel was born in San Diego, but his dad's are from Tijuana. But I also know a guy, probably Nestor Gonzalez, I think. That's his name. A guy with Baltimore with the Orioles. Oh, it's Nestor Herman. Sorry, Nestor Herman. His his parents are from Mexico too. He got good arm, but the guys that are pretty much gonna make their debut this year. It's gonna be Myers and Tirso. Well, he was called last year, but he hasn't the chance to play in the big leagues. But Marcelo is the guy who really caught my attention really bad.
We'll have to keep an eye out for that. And how, when, with your position working in the Spanish radio broadcasting, do you travel to all the games with the team? And do you, like, if they go to the playoffs, you travel with them, or how's that play out?
Yeah, well, my contract, they were kind enough to give me 42 games off during the season. There are
Sure, it's a
162
lot of
games.
games.
Yeah, so I pick my days. Usually my dates where I take off is when they go on the road. So, but if I'm working, I'm traveled with the team. This season, our first trip is going to go to New York and then Washington. And when I took my days off, is probably during the time with the teams on the road. But the Diamondbacks is one of, I believe, four teams in the majors that they covered all the 162 games in the Spanish, and that the Spanish crew traveled with the team, just like any other broadcaster in the majors.
That's interesting because I know from talking with Francisco, yeah, there's different contracts with different teams. So it's kind of nice to see that you guys are treated as equals with the
Yeah, no,
Diamondback.
I really I appreciate that opportunity with the Diamondbacks. They were really nice. They treat us as equals as the broadcaster in English, either radio, television. And like tonight, we got this big charity dinner, and they make us part of it. So it's a big family here, and I'm really happy to be part of them.
Couple more questions. The was it 2 seasons ago? So it would have been the 2023 season. Um, that that had to have been a magical season for you to be able to follow through with that team all the way to the World Series. I mean, what was that like? And when they would they play the Rangers in the World Series, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, that just had to have been like an unbelievable experience.
Well, thinking about this, Mo, I was on the WBC, which was in March. We went all the way to the semifinals. It was already a special year for me, be part of this project. And then, right after that, join my team in during the season. So it was like kind of roller coaster season. And at the end, we made it to the playoff. And honestly, we were the underdogs. We were the guys that probably qualified until the end. And here we go to Milwaukee to one, two out of three. So we thought like, okay, at least if we spend 3 days over there, that's it worth it. So it happens that we came back in those first two games and we won that series, right? So we won that series. We went to face the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium, first in Kershaw, the first game. So Kershaw was one of the worst, probably starts ever in his career, giving up 6 runs in the first inning. And we were like, oh my God, really? Like, we are really this?
You're
So,
legit.
yeah. Then we swept them. We won the second game, and then we brought the series to Chase with the advantage. Now you remember that we hit those 4 home runs, I think in the fourth inning, where everybody was surprised, like, really, this is the Diamondback. So yeah, that was like it started to be a magical season for us. Like, we're already in the playoff, we already beat the Dodgers. Here we go. We're gonna face the Philadelphia Phillies. Roster full of starts, nasty bullpen, nasty starting rotation. Like, all right, at least we're on the National League championship, right? So we lost the first two games in Philadelphia, one of the you know greatest stage that I've been in playoff. Those guys, I mean, with all due respect, those guys are pretty intense, but very respectful. They support the team with them being aggressive. Those guys really are really true fans in Philadelphia. So we came back here. we were able to win 2 games to make the series go back to Philadelphia. We were one loss to go home, and Philadelphia facing their best starter, and we won those 2 games. So we thought like, okay, that was already a magical. You like nothing that probably people think are they weren't in our expectations, and we went to the World Series. And no, yeah, once we went there, I mean, everything was magical until the last inning of the first game when Corey Seager hit that home run, and then we lost in extra innings. But that was really, really magic year for me because I was in competition even since spring training, and I was able to call the last game of the season in the big leagues against the Texas Rangers, and that was
That's
like
amazing.
that was amazing. And some of
What
the
a fun
guys
year.
that we have in the WBC, like Alec Thomas,
Yeah,
they were you know
that team that year too, the
yeah,
core of that.
and he hit a home run against King
Mhm.
Kimbrell to tie the game. I remember probably the fifth game. So there was like little things here and there where I saw those ex teammates in Team Mexico, and then in the bigger stage as the World Series, show up, and I was pretty excited. That was it was a hell of a year for me.
I will say the Diamondbacks organization is really first class, and a lot of, I mean, I'm sure, depending on perspective, Major League they give back a lot, and I will say one thing that stood out to me back, gosh, it was like 2015, 2016. My closest friend was dying. He had ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and the Diamondbacks I let them know, he was probably going to pass within maybe a month or two. His health had been declining, and they said, "Well, bring him to the game. We're going to let him go out on the field." And brought his young sons with him, and they all got to meet Paul Goldschmidt and some of the other players who were on the team at the time, and we got to sit right behind home plate, and I just have the most respect for that franchise.
Yeah, definitely. We know that we are not like the big market as New York or Los Angeles, but this team, as I mentioned before, it was I won't call it a team; it's just a family because they really make you feel like your family. And yeah, little things like that make the difference with the community. They support a lot of the community. Uh, they give away jerseys for all the little leagues teams around the area, and they spend a lot of money on that. And thanks to Debbie Costello, that also she is pretty, good on be aware about the situation.
Community and everything,
Exact.
yeah.
And for us, the co-worker, the or workers or colleagues and everything, or that we are involved with the Arizona Diamondbacks, we are. I feel like the environment to work there is very friendly. This is gonna be my 12th season. I have nothing but good friends and good vibes when we over there. Definitely, we all want to win. There are years that is not the case. But once the season starts, you always see pretty much the same faces, and we're all happy to be there. So that means a lot for me, like being this part of this organization, since Mr. Ken Kendricks that runs the team as the owner, and Derek Hall, who is, you
Hmm.
know, he is such a kind guy,
Great person.
grand person, yeah.
I
So
emailed him once to just thank him for being so. If I'm not mistaken, I think Derek Hall might have he. I think he had spoken out against, and I might be mistaken on this, but on the SB 1070 Arizona immigration law, as far as the impact on the Hispanic community. And I was truly appreciative of that. I'm pretty sure it was him, but I know that the Diamondbacks have also been very out. outgoing and active with the Hispanic and Latino communities, and do a lot, especially on behalf of the children, the youth in the community.
Yeah, no, definitely, and we were one of the teams that, even that we are one of the newest teams in Major League Baseball, the Diamondbacks and the Rays. We are probably one of the teams that have most international games in Mexico. We play a lot of games in Hermosillo. It's exhibition games. We play in Monterrey, and we were about to play in Mexico City the 2020 year, before the pandemic happens. But they always encouraged, to play in Mexico. We got this day. We got the Spanish Heritage Month with this September, right? But we have a special day for the Liga Mexicana del Pacífico, meaning the Winter League, for for this Spanish population, more Mexican population that are missing to see those colors of their native city, Hermosillo, Culiacan, Mochis. I don't see this happen anywhere else, and this is just the how much they care
It's
about
important.
our community. So we
Do
always
you,
support that.
and this is my final question, do you have a
Uh,
Serpientes jersey?
oh yeah, I got my Serpiente jersey. Yeah, I get it when they first come up, and
Yeah,
I was pretty excited. Actually, I had to go and make an appearance to earn that, because it was hard to get them. Once they come up, they
yeah.
were gone. So, but yeah,
They're very
I like
cool.
it.
I like
They're
those.
very cool.
Yeah. Was that was part of like the whole City Connect jerseys, right?
Yeah, and you know what? Talking about this team, make you part of it. Actually, they make us part of it. I remember we had this Zoom meeting about the City Connect thing that Nike wants to do it, and I remember one of the meeting. I was not saying much about it, but how the serpientes are, with these letters are. That's based on most of the teams in Mexico and the Winter League. All their all the letters are like like that, like Culiacan, Hermosillo. They were based on that, because I remember talking about how what we can implement into the City Connect. They were based on the Spanish community, and knowing that most of the teams in Mexico had those letters in the front. They were based on that. So that's at least that's one of the things I remember that they brought into the Zoom, and come up with that idea. So when I first saw that uniform, I was pretty excited about it.
Well, thank you so much. This is really cool to talk to you. I think I told you when I first sent you the text that you were part of my championship fantasy baseball team when you were a rookie on Baltimore. And so, as a baseball freak, this is my Fernandomania moment right now. I'm talking to you, and to get a little bit of insight into what it's like to come from a pretty humble beginning, and and then work your way up into the major leagues to be on the biggest stage. I really appreciate it.
No, Mo, thank you so much. I mean, it's good to know that I was part of the fantasy team that it was a champion at one point. Definitely, that was a year to remember my whole career. We runner up for American League Rookie of the Year and 15 wins after, pretty much that was my second opportunity in the big league. So that was such a great year for me, and it's good to know that I was part of the championship team, at
Hey,
least in the fantasy.
you were a random pickup that I found on the waiver wire that year, and it was and obviously at the time you're playing a little fun diversion activity, and who knew that 22 years later I'd be interviewing you on a podcast.
It's a long time ago. Yeah, I can't believe it's already more than 20 years. But here I am. Like, who knows? This is the good thing about being baseball. Is still, being active. You connect with a lot of people, and probably people that you know from the past, but probably people that you know for first time. But baseball brings us all together.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I look forward to meeting you in person someday. I will come invade your booth at some point in the near future.
Sure, you're very welcome to come to see the view that we have from my office.
That'd be amazing. Well, thanks again. And thanks to anyone who is listening to the Immigration Ain't Easy podcast. And thanks to my daughter, Emma, who does a fine job of editing this. So, again, thank you so much, Rodrigo, for taking time out of your busy schedule.
My pleasure, Mo, and hopefully this can impact some of the guys who are listening to your podcast.